You know what's worse than being cheated on by two people who used to share your dinner table. Yeah, that part. This didn't happen 10 years ago, not 5. Last week, I was supposed to be prepping for a wedding. Mine, picking flowers, stressing about seating charts, wondering if my dress would hide my back tattoo in front of my Jesus-loving parents. Instead, I was sitting in my car outside my apartment, staring at my phone screen like it was a horror movie I couldn't shut off. But let me back up. A year ago, everything felt stable. Maybe even too perfect. In hindsight, I was living in this small Midwestern town where nothing ever really happens except high school football, BBQs, and Facebook mom group drama. I was teaching English at a local high school. Loving it, honestly. Teenagers have just the right amount of chaos to make the day interesting. My fiancé, Lucas, was a fitness coach. Charming, fit, obviously, and quiet enough to seem mature. We met at a library of all places. I was grading papers. He was looking for books on anatomy for a personal training course. We bonded over East of Eden and post-workout smoothies. It was cliché, I know. But back then, I thought it was safe, grounded. He got along well with my family, maybe too well, especially with my brother, Jason Goldenchild, our hometown's ex-baseball hero. You know the type coaches Little League now, still walks around like he's in a Gatorade commercial. Everyone loved him. My parents literally have his high school trophy shelf displayed like a damn shrine. Me, I was the smart one, aka the quiet, bookish, don't make waves daughter. I paid my own bills, brought home groceries, and showed up on time. That didn't make me special in their eyes, just expected. Still, I kept things civil. Jason and I weren't close, but we weren't enemies either. He used to crash on my couch sometimes after his bar shifts. He always smelled like sweat and stale fries, but I figured, family's family. Then last week happened. I had this big end-of-year project for school. Stress levels were through the roof. I stayed up until 3 a.m. editing slides, printing packets, and running on anxiety and cold coffee. That morning, I realized I forgot my flash drive. The flash drive. The one with everything on it. I texted Jason he was staying over because he had a fight with his roommate again. I asked if he could grab it from my desk and email me the files. He said, "Yeah, no problem, sis." Cool. Crisis averted. Until 20 minutes later, I get an email from Jason. But something was off. The subject line was weird, just sent Lucas. At first, I thought it was a typo. I opened it expecting my lesson plan, and instead, I got a gut punch. It was an email draft, an unsent one, probably something he meant to delete. Instead, I got a full front row seat to his affair with my fiancée. I read lines like, "Last night was amazing. I can't believe we've kept this a secret for 6 months. You're the only one who really gets me." And then, "She's too busy grading papers to notice anything anyway." Yeah, that part broke me. Like, are you serious? I just sat there, frozen in the parking lot outside school. Phone in my hand, jaw on the floor. My stomach was churning. My vision blurred. I couldn't even remember how long I stared at that screen. I should have closed it, should have deleted it and gone to work, but I couldn't. I had to know how far it went. So I scrolled, and I kept scrolling. Text logs, photos, freaking playlist they shared. They had a playlist. You know how couples have songs? They had a Spotify playlist called Just Us Don't Share This. Jason had added some indie track called My Little Secret. I swear, I almost threw my phone. I didn't go into school that day. I sat in my car for 2 hours, just sitting there, shaking, feeling like an idiot, a joke, a whole damn punchline. When I finally drove home, Lucas was on the couch eating cereal like everything was fine, just scrolling his phone, watching some gym bro on TikTok. I walked in. I didn't even speak. I just tossed my phone at him and said, "Explain this." He froze, looked at the screen, looked at me, and his whole face drained like a cartoon character in real time. He opened his mouth and wait for it. He said, "It's not what it looks like." WTF, that's what you're going with. I snapped. You slept with my brother. Lucas, you think I'm stupid. He started mumbling. It just happened. It wasn't planned. We didn't mean to hurt you. Screw that. I told him to pack his stuff and leave. Right then. He tried to apologize, tried to reach for me. I backed away like he was on fire. I couldn't even look at him. He left that night, took a gym bag, his protein powder, and whatever dignity he had left, but that wasn't the end, because I still had to confront the other half of this betrayal. Jason, my own brother. That night, I drove to Jason's apartment. My hands were trembling the entire time. I didn't call, didn't warn him. I just knocked on the door. He opened it with a sheepish smile, like I'd come to deliver groceries or something. I know, he said before I even opened my mouth. You know, I yelled. You slept with my fiancée for 6 months, and all you have to say is, I know. He didn't deny it, not once. He just looked down and said, I didn't mean to, but I love him. That hit harder than anything. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so insanely surreal. You love him, great. Hope the betrayal tastes sweet. I turned around and walked out. Didn't look back. I felt hollow, like someone had vacuumed out my insides and left nothing but static. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just betrayal. This was war. 2 days later, I called my mom. I didn't even want to, honestly, but after everything blew up, I figured they'd find out sooner or later. And I didn't want to hear it from someone else, like some distant aunt gossiping through church pews. So I called. Hey, I said. Oh, honey, she answered immediately. Where have you been? We haven't heard from you since Saturday. Is everything okay? No, everything was absolutely not okay, but I wasn't about to unravel over speakerphone. I need to tell you something, and I need you to not interrupt. She went quiet. I took a deep breath and just blurted it out. Lucas was cheating on me, with Jason, for 6 months. There was a long, sticky pause, like she was trying to process a sentence that didn't fit into her neat little world of family barbecues and Sunday sermons. Jason, your brother Jason. Yeah, that Jason. She gasped. Oh my God, are you sure? I have emails, mom, texts, screenshots, and before you ask, yes, they both admitted it. I could hear her breathing, could practically feel her trying to spin it into something less horrifying. But maybe there's a misunderstanding. Jason would never. He's always had your back. I laughed, not in a funny way, in a bitter, exhausted, are you freaking kidding me kind of way. Mom, Jason didn't trip and fall into my fiancé's bed. This wasn't a one-time mistake. They had a whole secret relationship, a playlist, inside jokes. He sent him love notes. Wake up. She didn't respond. Then I heard my dad's voice in the background, all gruff and low like always. What's going on? My mom must have put me on speaker. I repeated everything, again, like some twisted rerun of a show nobody wanted to watch. When I finished, my dad went silent, then finally said, Well, you know we love you both. This doesn't change that. Excuse me? Are you serious right now? He destroyed my relationship. He broke my trust. He was my brother, Dad. And you were always the mature one, then he replied, calm as ever. Maybe this is a chance to show grace. I almost threw my phone. You want me to show grace to the guy who fucked my fiancé? That's what you're saying. Claire, language, my mom whispered sharply, like that was the issue. You know what the wildest part is? They never even got mad at him, not once. All the rage, the disappointment, the accusations, they were directed at me for how I was handling things. My mom had the audacity to say, I know this is hard for you, but Jason's been going through a lot too. I didn't even ask what a lot meant. Probably some crap like he's been stressed or he's still finding himself. Whatever. They ended the call saying they hoped I'd come home soon to talk it out. I didn't. Instead, I called my best friend, Emily. She'd been my roommate in college, my rock through 2 breakups and 1 horrific Brazilian wax incident. If anyone got me, it was her. I barely got the words out before she said, "Pack your shit and come over, right now." So I did. She didn't ask for explanations, didn't ask me to rehash the trauma. She just handed me a glass of wine and sat with me in silence, which honestly meant more than any stupid pep talk ever could. A week passed. Then another. Then came the real cherry on top, the wedding drama. See, I wasn't even sure I still wanted a wedding. I'd canceled everything with Lucas. Obviously, the venue, the DJ, the florist, lost deposits left and right. But part of me still wanted something. A reset, not a party, not a rebound event, just something that reminded me I wasn't broken, that I could still have joy without begging for anyone's approval. Then I met Ethan. It started slow, really slow. We met through mutual friends at a game night. He beat everyone at Scrabble and had this annoying habit of spelling obscure 6-letter words I had to Google later. I hated him at first. Then I didn't? He never pried about Lucas. He just let me breathe. He was kind and quiet in the way that made you feel safe, not ignored. The first time I laughed with him, really laughed. I actually cried, like my body didn't know how to process happiness without breaking down first. Fast forward a few months, Ethan proposed. I said yes. I kept the guest list small, just people who'd actually shown up for me when I was falling apart. People who didn't say, "But he's your brother," every 5 seconds. Guess who didn't make the cut? Jason. And apparently, my parents took that personally. Mom called first, "So, we noticed Jason's not on the invitation list." "Yeah," I said, "that's intentional." Long pause. "Sweetie, it's been almost a year. Maybe it's time to forgive. He is your brother." I stayed silent. "Claire," she continued, "if you don't invite him, we're not sure we can attend either." There it was. The ultimatum. You're saying, if I don't invite the person who slept with my fiancé and destroyed my life, you won't come to my wedding. We're saying we can't support a family being torn apart. No. Mom, what you're saying is you can't support me unless I pretend none of this happened, that I wasn't betrayed, that I'm not still hurting. More silence. Then we just want everyone to move on. I nearly screamed. Yeah, well, I have moved on. You're the ones still clinging to a fantasy where everything's fine. It's not, and pretending it is doesn't make it true. She tried to guilt trip me, said things like, "We raised you better than this, and this isn't who you are. But you know what? It is who I am now. I'm the woman who won't let people walk all over her just because they share DNA. I'm the woman who finally said enough." So I ended the call like this. If you feel more loyalty to the brother who betrayed me than to the daughter you raised, then maybe you shouldn't come at all. Click. They didn't call back. Didn't RSVP. Didn't send a gift. Nothing. The wedding day came. And yeah, I'll admit it, I kept glancing at the entrance, hoping maybe they'd show up, that some part of them would choose me this time. They didn't, but I didn't cry. Instead, I walked down that aisle alone, no dad on my arm, no mom in the front row, just me and Ethan and Emily standing tall beside me like a damn sister should. And it was perfect, not in a fairy tale, Pinterest board kind of way, but in a screw the noise, we made it anyway kind of way. I had laughter, music, real friends, and a husband who actually respected me. The best part, I didn't miss them. Not really, because the people who mattered were already there. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. It had been about 3 months since the wedding when the first message came in. Not from Jason. Not from my parents either. It was from someone I never expected, Lucas. I'd blocked him on everything right after the whole dumpster fire, but I guess he got a new number or used some third-party texting app. The message was short. Hey, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I'm sorry, genuinely. I've been in therapy. I just wanted you to know that. I stared at it for a good 10 minutes. Did I want to respond? No! Did part of me want to scream into the void and ask him why? Absolutely. But I didn't. I screenshotted it, sent it to Emily with a bunch of skull emojis, and then deleted it. That was my closure. Not a long conversation, not a dramatic apology, just the proof that he still thought about me and knew he fucked up. That was enough. Or so I thought. A week after that, I was out running errands when my phone rang. It was my mom. I ignored it. Then she called again, and again. 3 missed calls in a row usually means something's burning down. So I picked up. She sounded frantic, her voice tight, like she'd been crying. Claire, it's Jason. Great. What now? What about him? He's in the hospital. I didn't say anything. She took a shaky breath and said, he OD'd. It hit like a wave. Not sympathy, not fear, just this dull ache, the kind you get when you stub your toe on the same damn coffee table again. Turns out, Jason had been on something for a while. Pills, mostly. Maybe more. I don't know. I guess the guilt or the mess of his life caught up to him. Maybe both. She asked if I'd come see him. I said no. Harsh, maybe. But I wasn't walking into that sterile white room to hold his hand like the past year hadn't happened. I wasn't going to be the good sister who forgives at the last minute. I had forgiven myself. That was enough. But I didn't block her. I let her talk. Let her give me updates. I think she just needed someone to listen. She told me things I didn't know. That Jason had lost his job 3 months after everything came out. That his roommate bailed on him. That he'd moved back in with them for a while, before couch surfing with friends. That he'd been going to bars alone, getting into fights. And part of me thought good. Is that messed up? Probably. But I'm human. And humans don't always feel the right thing. A couple days later, my dad called. He never calls, always lets my mom do the emotional labor. His voice was different this time. Low, gravelly, tired. I'm not asking you to forgive him. He said, I just wanted you to know that we didn't get it before, but we do now. It caught me off guard. Not a full apology, but something that felt real. We should have had your back. We didn't. I don't know why. Maybe we were just too scared to lose another piece of the family. I was quiet. Then I said, you didn't lose a piece of the family. You gave it up. He didn't argue. And for once, that meant something. We hung up after that. No promises, no fake reconciliation, just space. Like maybe we were both holding pieces of something broken, not trying to glue it back together yet, but finally acknowledging that it shattered. A few more weeks passed. Ethan and I settled into married life like we'd been doing it for years. Sunday pancakes, dog walks at sunset, lazy mornings where we just lay in bed talking about nothing and everything. It felt easy, safe. Then one day, out of nowhere, Ethan said, have you ever thought about writing this down? I blinked. What, like a diary? No, like all of it. What happened? What you learned? You have a way of telling things. You make people feel it. At first, I laughed it off, but then I opened a blank doc, typed out a sentence, then another. It poured out of me, not just the betrayal, but the mess, the numbness, the strength I didn't know I had until it was all I had left. I didn't write it to publish. I didn't write it to get famous. I wrote it because I needed to put it somewhere that wasn't my chest. Somewhere I could leave it and walk away. And it worked. Not overnight, not cleanly, but slowly. It helped. Then something wild happened. I got an email. A friend of a friend had read it. They forwarded it to someone, who forwarded it again. Within a month, it ended up on a niche relationship blog. People started sharing it. Strangers messaged me things like, "I went through something similar and thought I was crazy for cutting my sister off. Thank you." This made me cry in the best way. You're stronger than you know. Screw blood. Loyalty is a choice. It was weird, seeing something so personal, so mine, being read and felt by people I didn't even know. But it also felt freeing. I didn't just survive, I helped someone else survive too. Eventually, I got a message from my mom. "I read your post." That was all it said. No criticism. No, "how could you share this guilt trip?" Just that. And somehow, that meant more than 100 apologies. I replied, "Thanks for reading." She didn't write back. She didn't need to, because for once, we were quiet in the same way. I still don't talk to Jason. I still don't want to. Not out of hate, just because there's nothing left to say. Some people you forgive so you can heal. Some people you leave behind so you can breathe. He's the second one. Ethan and I, we're good. Actually, we're great. Not perfect, not fairy tale, but real, rooted, and full of so much laughter that sometimes I forget what pain felt like. But then I remember, and I smile anyway, because the worst thing that ever happened to me didn't end me. It built me, one jagged piece at a time. And yeah, I might not have the parents at my table, or the brother I once trusted, but I've got a new story now. And for the first time in a long time, I'm the one holding the pen. It was around early spring when I got the second shocker. Ethan and I had just finished grocery shopping. Nothing special, just a Costco haul that nearly broke my back. And we were in the kitchen unloading bags when I got the email. No subject, just a blank field and a sender name I hadn't seen in over a year. Jason. Yeah, him. My stomach dropped so fast I had to sit down. "Everything okay?" Ethan asked. I nodded, but I was lying through my teeth. I didn't even open it at first, just stared at it like it might explode. I poured a glass of wine, paced a little, then sat back down and clicked it open. It started like this. "Claire, I don't know how to start this, or if you'll even read it. But I need to say some things, and you deserve to hear them." I rolled my eyes so hard I almost saw the back of my skull. Spare me the guilt-soaked opening? Dude. But I kept reading. "I've been in rehab for 3 months. I hit rock bottom. And it wasn't just the drugs. It was everything I let myself become. I lost my job, my friends, my place, everything. And yeah, I earned that. But I also lost you, and that's the one thing that keeps me up at night." I paused. That part hit different. It didn't undo the past. But for once, he wasn't making excuses. He was owning it. Finally. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect a response. I just needed to tell you that I was wrong, not just for what I did, but for how I broke your trust and made you question your own worth. You didn't deserve that. I was selfish and cowardly, and I wish I could go back and stop myself." I leaned back, letting the words sit. There wasn't some dramatic ask for a second chance, no begging, just raw honesty. Ethan glanced over at me. "You okay?" "I think so," I said, still staring at the screen. He finally said it, like, really said it. "Are you gonna reply?" I shook my head. "Not yet. Maybe not ever." And that felt okay. But then, because the universe loves chaos, I got a text from my mom later that same night. "Jason wants to talk to you. He's working through step 9. "Ah, the old 12-step process. Of course." I didn't reply. I mean, what was I supposed to say? Sure, let's crack open that trauma bottle and do a shot together. No thanks. That week, my brain was a storm. One minute I was furious again, replaying the betrayal. The lies, the way he looked me in the eye during family dinners while secretly screwing over my entire life. The next minute, I'd feel weirdly empty. Not forgiving him wasn't eating me alive anymore, but neither was ignoring him. It was like my emotions were tired of the whole damn thing. A couple days later, I was folding laundry, half watching some trashy dating show on TV. When it hit me, I didn't owe anyone closure. Not him. Not my mom. Not even myself. Not in the way people made it seem like some spiritual checkbox. Closure isn't a conversation, it's a decision, and I had already made mine. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about one thing he wrote in the email. I made you doubt yourself. I made you feel small. That's on me. That sentence played on loop for days, because he was right. It wasn't just about Lucas. It wasn't just about sex or betrayal. It was about the way it made me question my gut, my instincts, my worth, and the part that killed me. I kept wondering what I had missed, what I could have done differently. I let the trauma cling to me like a second skin, and I wore it like it was my fault. But it wasn't. That realization hit harder than any apology ever could. I went to therapy that week and told my therapist everything. She nodded, calm and steady as always, and said, "What would it mean for you to accept that you've already healed more than you think?" I didn't have an answer. But later, walking home, I realized something. I wasn't the same girl who found those messages a year ago. I wasn't shaking anymore. I wasn't crying on the bathroom floor. I wasn't chasing answers from people too broken to give them. I was building something. New routines, a new relationship, a new identity that wasn't rooted in betrayal or survival, but in strength. And honestly, that felt like winning, even if the scoreboard looked messy. Around this time, Ethan's company offered him a promotion in a different city 4 hours away. Bigger job, more pay, better opportunity. I was hesitant, not because I didn't want it, but because the idea of uprooting everything again made my chest tight. But Ethan, being Ethan, said, "If you're not in, we don't go." Simple as that. I cried when he said that. Because that's what love looks like. Not promises, not flowery speeches, just steady, everyday loyalty. We ended up taking the offer. New city, new apartment, new chapter. The day we moved in, I left a box unopened for a few days. It was full of old stuff letters, pictures, things I hadn't touched since before Lucas, since before everything. One night, while Ethan was out getting us takeout, I opened it. There was an old photo of me, Jason, and Lucas from a trip to Yosemite. I was smiling, like really smiling, before I knew what was coming. I didn't cry, didn't rage. I just looked at it, then quietly put it through the shredder. That was my goodbye. Not to the people, but to the version of me who didn't know what betrayal felt like. I loved her. I did. She deserved better. But I'm stronger now. Fiercer. Quieter in my rage, but louder in my peace. A few weeks into our new life, Ethan and I threw a small get-together. Nothing fancy, just neighbors, new friends, a fire pit, and some cheap wine. At one point, someone asked me if I had siblings. I paused, then said, I used to. No one asked more, and that was that. I went to bed that night feeling clean, like I'd finally stepped out of a storm that had followed me for far too long, not because it stopped raining, but because I learned how to walk without getting soaked. Sometimes I wonder if Jason's still in recovery, if my parents still wish I'd make peace, if Lucas ever found someone new to ruin. But I don't check, I don't snoop, I don't spiral. I don't need to, because life isn't a straight road from pain to happiness. It's loops and drops and long, quiet stretches. And right now, I'm in a good stretch, one where I wake up next to someone who never makes me question my worth. One where I speak up more, love harder, forgive slower, choose better. I may not have everything figured out, but I know this. I don't miss who I was before the storm. I love who I became after it. It was late fall when things started settling into this strange, peaceful rhythm, like I had finally found the volume knob on life and turned it down just enough to breathe. Our new apartment felt more like home every day. Ethan painted the kitchen this warm. Ridiculous Yellow said it reminded him of a cartoon egg, and somehow, it worked. Every time I walked in, it felt like morning. We'd made friends, real ones, people who didn't know anything about my past unless I decided to tell them, people who liked me for me quirky, slightly too honest, overthinker at large me. There was this one night, we were all sitting around the fire pit behind our building, drinking spiked cider, laughing about the dumbest things, and I just remember looking around and thinking, I built this, no one gave it to me, no one handed it over out of guilt or pity. I bled for this peace. And now I had it. But, of course, peace is a fragile thing. One weekend, my mom showed up, uninvited. I was coming back from the store, juggling a bag of overpriced cheese and some weird Trader Joe's dip Ethan wanted, when I saw her standing outside our building like some ghost from a previous life. She smiled when she saw me, that smile she does when she's hoping everything can just go back to normal, without actually addressing any of the crap that happened. I froze. She walked up. Hi, honey. Mom, what are you doing here? I was in town. I thought maybe we could talk, just for a minute. I wanted to say no, I really did. But part of me, a part I don't even like to admit still exists, felt that tiny flicker of daughter instinct. So I nodded, and we went upstairs. Ethan wasn't home, thank God. She looked around our place, complimented the paint, the couch, asked if I wanted tea like she didn't just show up out of nowhere after a year of radio silence. I sat across from her, arms crossed, waiting. She finally said it. Your brother's clean now. 6 months. I nodded. He asked about you. I shrugged. Not interested. She sighed, like I was being dramatic, like this was some teenage tantrum, and not a boundary I had every right to hold. He's working really hard. He's different now. Good for him. She hesitated. He's moving back home for a bit. Your dad and I thought. No, I cut in. Don't even finish that sentence. She looked down, fidgeting with the strap of her purse. You can't carry this anger forever. Claire. I laughed, like actually laughed, the kind of sharp, deadpan laugh that makes people uncomfortable. You think this is about anger, Mom. It's not. I'm not mad. I'm done. There's a difference. She blinked, clearly not expecting that. Look, I'm happy he's getting help. I hope he stays clean. I hope he finds peace. But he's not part of my life anymore. That chapter's over. You don't get to rewrite it just because it makes you sad. She didn't say much after that, just nodded. She left a tin of cookies on the table, like some bizarre olive branch, and left. I didn't cry. I didn't spiral. I made a grilled cheese, watched reality TV, and slept like a damn baby. Growth, but it did open a weird door in my brain. Not for Jason, but for them, my parents. I started thinking about the roles they played, not just in what happened, but in how I healed or didn't, how for so long I measured my pain by their reactions, their silences, their subtle judgments wrapped in concern. And I realized something. Just because someone raised you doesn't mean they see you. They loved their idea of me, the easy daughter, the fixer, the one who never made waves. But when I finally stood up, said no more, this is enough. I choose me. They saw it as betrayal. Not because I was wrong, but because it was inconvenient. I had to grieve that. Not just the version of my brother I'd lost, but the version of my parents I thought I had. And grief, that's a sneaky bastard. Some days it hit hard, like in the middle of the cereal aisle, or when Ethan's parents invited us over, and I realized this is what it's supposed to feel like. Safety, warmth, no emotional landmines. Other days, I felt nothing, just this cold, quiet resolve that I was doing the right thing, even if it made holidays awkward and birthdays weird. And then, the plot twist. About 2 months after my mom's surprise visit, I got a letter. A physical, actual letter. In the mail, like it was 1998 or something. It was from Jason. I don't know how he got our new address. Maybe my mom gave it to him. Maybe he Googled, I don't know. I don't care. I didn't open it. I stared at it, flipped it over, held it up to the light like some spy movie nonsense. Then I shoved it into the back of my closet. Because here's the truth. No one tells you closure doesn't require reading the last chapter. Sometimes it's knowing you could, but choosing not to. A week later, Ethan found it. He handed it to me with a look. You gonna open it? I shook my head. You sure? Yeah, I'm not interested in whatever version of the truth he's selling now. He nodded. Okay. Want me to toss it? I paused. No, burn it. And we did. We stood on our tiny balcony with a lighter and a metal bowl and watched it curl into ash. No dramatic music, no slow motion. Just fire, quiet and final. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. After that, I really started living. We took a road trip down the coast, sang badly in the car, ate way too much diner food, got sunburnt in the middle of February because neither of us understands weather. I laughed more, slept better, woke up without that old familiar pit in my stomach. I started writing again, too, but not about the past. I wrote fiction, weird, wonderfully chaotic stories that had nothing to do with betrayal and everything to do with joy. And I submitted one, just for fun, to this little indie lit mag I'd followed forever. And they published it. I got the email while brushing my teeth, screamed so loud I choked on toothpaste, and ran into the living room, half foaming like a rabid dog, to tell Ethan. He lifted me off the ground and spun me around like a cheesy rom-com boyfriend, and I don't even care how cliché that sounds because it was perfect. Because in that moment, I realized something big. The best revenge is not looking back. It's building a life so good, so full, so damn bright, that the people who broke you couldn't even imagine it. Let alone be part of it.